Chapter 4. The Back of a Father. Morning of April 28th, 3965. The numbers on the whiteboard seemed to dance, changing with every blink of an eye. Madame Maria would normally tell me what the board said, but she no longer did. Queen Lilith called it cheating. She said it was only because Madame Maria was helping me that I had such a high grade as I did. She ended up being right. My grades had fallen dramatically ever since. I had gotten nothing lower than 100% in my life, but I only got an 89 on my latest math test. Mr. Claremont had at least given me partial credit for the questions in which I did the math right, but got the numbers mixed up. But it was still dramatically lower than before. I would have had to answer to Queen Lilith soon enough. I just hoped Father would be there when she confronted me. He was always more on top of my grades than Queen Lilith, but who knew if the Queen would be invested in seeing me fail as proof of her claim? She had done it before. A knock on the door to my small classroom startled me from my ever-unsuccessful attempt to make sense of Mr. Claremont's squiggles. Father stepped in upon receiving grumbling permission from the teacher. Though Mr. Claremont quickly turned into a stuttering mess upon seeing Father, his words jumbled together into nonsense that Father silenced with a single word.
"Stop,"
Father said, silencing the whimpering man on the floor. How he got there, I didn't know or care.
"I'm taking Emily for the rest of the day. You may return to the rest of your duties. Emily, come here."
Father was using his no-nonsense voice. He must have been really mad about my grade.
"Yes, Father,"
I said, following him out of the classroom onto the hallway of the Royal Air's wing. The hallway itself was brightly lit. Light crystals lit the path where the hallway wasn't open to the royal courtyard. The glittering light danced on the white stone clad on every surface as if filtered through water. An apt description, because it felt like I was drowning, and I had felt that way ever since Queen Lilith had me isolated. I had no room to breathe that month. It felt like every action I took was judged harshly by everyone around me. Even Madame Maria had been snappish at my smallest mistake. It was as if I had been moved from the playpen to a boiling pot of water. Father had been my refuge, but now I was in trouble with him because of my poor grades. It was only the quiet creaking of the hinges on my bedroom door that alerted me to our arrival. I had been too busy staring at Father's feet to notice.
"Go in, unless you want this conversation done in public."
Father's voice had an edge of irritation. He only had that when he was really mad. A few poor grades shouldn't have set him off this badly, right? It wasn't as if I had failed after all.
"No, Father."
I ducked into my room, then waited for him on the other side. He seemed, if anything, more irritated that I had done so.
"Sit."
Where should I have sat, though? Madame Maria always had me sit on my desk chair when she lectured me, but Father stopped me when I went to walk that way.
"On the couch."
Why couldn't I have even done that right? Either way, I walked silently to the couch, then sat on the edge. I didn't want to get comfortable in case I received a lecture. Father stood in front of me for an uncomfortable amount of time, as if judging me for my incompetence. His black leather boots stood out prominently on the light gray carpet.
"Do you have anything to tell me?"
What had Father wanted me to tell him?
"I'm sorry for getting a poor grade."
I asked because, aside from that, I didn't know what could have set Father off.
"And?"
What else had Father wanted me to confess? I didn't know, so I remained silent. The wrong response, if Father's long breath was any indication.
"I was wondering why your grades had dropped so suddenly 3 weeks ago. Lilith assured me you had been cheating and she put a stop to it, leading to your dropped grades. However, I want to hear it from your own mouth. Have you been cheating on your grades?"
He asked, his voice rising with every word. I jerked my head up to look Father in the face. My mouth opened in what must have been a bewildered expression as I stumbled over my words.
No, never!
I said, indignant at the mere thought Father would believe anything the evil queen would say about me. Father's shoulders relaxed as I continued to plead my case.
My grades have fallen because Queen Lilith forced Madame Maria to stop helping me read the work, not because I was cheating.
Father released a deep breath before he slumped onto the couch next to me. Once released from his tight hold, Father's magic wrapped around me as if apologetic for his actions. Mine reached out tentatively, as I was afraid of getting hurt, but once it was greeted warmly, I knew Father didn't mean me harm. His cool arms wrapped around me as he lifted me onto his lap. I was still slightly indignant, but couldn't help my instinctual need to cuddle into Father. He was my security blanket from a world too cruel. I almost didn't hear Father when he asked,
How had Madame Maria helped you?
She would point to where I had made a mistake in my writing or reading, then tell me what it actually said. Nothing else, aside from the occasional clearer explanation.
It had been that way since before I started preschool, really. Though, judging by how the air cooled, Father didn't approve of something. A shiver racked through my body as I cuddled deeper into Father's large chest. Yes, Father must have been upset about something.
That seems reasonable enough. Why did Lilith think you were cheating? Was it not she who told Maria to help you with your schoolwork?
Father asked as he wrapped me in his black overrobe. Despite his minimal natural body heat, it still felt toasty warm in his robes. I felt safe in the warm darkness of his robe, as if he were shielding me from the universe itself. All I saw was his soft, illuminated face as he smiled at me, deepening the delusion. I blamed that for having let my guard down.
Queen Lilith has been looking for any reason to punish me again ever since I called Madame Maria Mom in front of her.
My voice came out muffled from the fact that my face was hidden in Father's shirt, my halfway-to-sleep state not helping. I didn't even notice my slip until the room plummeted in temperature. My breath came out in little puffs of clouds. My shivering doubled as the sound of Father's teeth grinding together filled the room. A peek outside the robe confirmed that literal ice crystals had formed on everything around us. Father was no longer just irritated. He was pissed.
I will not ask why you called Madame Maria Mom. That woman has been more of a mom to you than Lilith ever was. However, I am going to ask how Lilith punished you.
The ice spread with every word that left Father's mouth. Father had asked me several times what had happened during the week I was alone. I had avoided the topic, not wanting to lie to Father or get punished by Queen Lilith again. But that time was up. I either told the truth and risked isolation once again, or lied, risking abandonment by Father. Would Father have protected me from Lilith if he knew what had happened? What was the possibility Father would have believed me over Lilith anyway? If I lied, would Father ever believe me again? That last fear, if nothing else, had made my decision. I would tell Father the truth.
Father, Queen Lilith, she...
How could I have phrased it? That Lilith had me isolated in my room for 5 days without food? That she put me in solitary confinement? Either way, the decision was taken out of my hands as the doors to my room were blown open by a blast of explosive fire magic. The rapid clap of heels against the stone floor as Queen Lilith entered the room was my only warning before being smacked with something soft repeatedly. Father wrapped his arm around my head to protect it from the repeated blows, but I could hear every word the Queen rambled, even if I couldn't make sense of it.
How dare you? She's 5! Get your child predator hands off our child! Just because she's your soulmate doesn't mean you can prey upon her as you did me. This is why I hate you, Evilans. You're nothing better than a group of child rapists. It doesn't even matter if it's your own child.
A long stream of barely legible curses left the Queen's mouth as she continued to smack us. One particularly hard smack to my head hurt more than the others. A small whine of pain escaped me as the blows stopped. Father's magic shielded us from the onslaught of blows even as they continued.
Lilith, calm down. You're hurting Emily.
Father said, stopping Queen Lilith's barrage of insults.
No more than you are already, pervert! She started puberty early because of you. Get our daughter out of your robe, then we'll talk.
What did Queen Lilith mean by that? Was that why she had inundated my schoolwork with gross medical texts? Madame Maria had assured me I didn't need to worry about anything in the text for several more years, but Queen Lilith didn't think so. My train of thought was interrupted by Father moving his robe, so I was outside of it. I instantly gripped his arm as the Queen's furious glare raked over me. It felt like I was between a wall of ice and a blazing sun. My skin even turned red where the Queen's glare turned.
Emily, I need you to stay calm. Please walk over to your bed, then get under the covers. We need to talk, but I don't want you to get caught up in our fight.
By the icy glare Father had directed at Queen Lilith, I knew he didn't mean me when he said we. Why had Father asked me to get under the covers instead of having me leave if he didn't want me exposed to their fight? Either way, I did as told. The heat of the Queen's glare died off as I walked away from Father to wrap myself completely in my dark blankets. It didn't take long for me to notice the complete silence in the darkness. Father's magic also never left me. Instead, it felt like a cooling balm to my frayed nerves. I had almost deluded myself into thinking that everything had calmed down. However, I felt Queen Lilith's furious fire magic as it whipped around the room like a firestorm, as if it had attempted to set everything ablaze. Father's calming magic did nothing but upset it more. A violent whip of fire magic destroyed the ward Father had set up around me. The last words I would hear from Father's mouth for several months followed.
Fine, have it your way. I'll leave Emily alone, but if I learn of any injury to my daughter or of any unjust punishments, I will protect her, even if it is from yourself.
What? No! I threw the blankets off myself to see Father leaving my bedroom, his back to me as he walked out. Father? I asked, my voice hoarse from the fear that ran through me. He glanced back at me, then turned away, not saying a word, and closed the door as he left. Queen Lilith's heated glare turned to me. It felt like the sun itself was glaring holes into my head, but I didn't care. Father had just left me. Father had just abandoned me. It felt worse than if I had been stabbed in the heart. I didn't take in anything the Queen said in her long rant afterward, or even notice the guards as they removed everything from my room, aside from my furniture. No. All I could see was my closed bedroom door, alongside the memory of Father's back as he closed it behind him. I stayed frozen in shock for several more hours, even as my isolation once again started.